Hey, what's up, Shadow Priest buddies? So I wanted to start making some videos to help you take your Shadow Priest to the next level. The focus is going to be about the less obvious things that you might not easily find elsewhere or in some basic guide. A little about me: I'm a CE Mythic Raider, I'm in a guild in the US rank 55, and I'm currently ranked in the top 150 Shadow public logs. I'm a rather humble player. My goal is simple: it's to not suck. Today's video is going to share some Warcraftlog tricks specific to Voidform and when we use CDs. Shadow CDs like Shadow Fiend, Mindbender if it's talented, essences like Lucid, Condensed Life Force. Generally we want to be using these around 20 to 30 stacks of Voidform depending on lust, or the build you're running, or even the boss can change the answer. Anywhere from 20 to 30 stacks is kind of a big range. So I'm going to show you how to go into logs and check what you've actually been doing. You can look up other Shadow Priests to see what they're doing, and you can kind of dig into boss-specific nuances that otherwise you wouldn't know. A good example is Mythic Azshara. I discovered through log research that using Shadow Fiend really early, at like 10 to 13 stacks in phase 1, helped align Lucid and Fiend again in the P2 Voidform. This resulted in extremely strong P2 boss damage that was incredibly critical to the fight. The queries I'm going to show you today will help you in the future. You know, the meta gameplay is going to change. Every tier, it tends to be a little bit different, and you can use these queries to kind of check for yourself, you know, what are the top Shadow Priest logs doing? And again, every boss kind of might have its own story. Okay, so we should be able to look up our void forms. I think it's kind of important that every Shadow Priest review their own void forms to see how they're doing in uptime and how high they're getting their stacks. So to do this, click on Shadow Priest that you're looking up. You just click the name and go to buffs, which is here in the middle. And from buffs, we're going to scroll down and find void form. It tends to be near the top. So we're going to click void form here. Azshara is a very long fight, very intricate and detailed with downtime and LOS, so void forms are definitely a little bit up and down in this fight, but we can look at what's happening with our void form. So when you hover over it, you can see towards the end here, my opening void form was 46 stacks, and you know, later on in the fights, it's got to 56 stacks here. That's during lust. The timestamp was 8 minutes to 9 minutes. If I go back to damage done, you can see right around 8 minutes to 9 minutes is highlighted blue here. That means I had lost during that void form, which is why it was higher. So again, going back to buffs and void form. Just to give you an idea what another fight might look like, a little bit more straightforward is, I might have closed it. Okay, here's Shavara, the first boss. Very short fight. Here you can see something more typical seen with void forms is, you know, they're a little bit more consistent. You're going to get higher void forms generally based on the build you're running. Lucid Dreams is going to push that void form much higher. This was a CLF essence, so the void forms don't vary nearly as much in this build. But again, something to consider is generally void forms are going to look like this. The next thing I'm going to show you is when did I use my CDs, and you know, did I do a good job at lining up the ideal stacks of void form. So that's the next thing, and we're going to go to CAS. We're going to make 2 custom queries. So in the upper right hand corner, click on query, and make sure you're in the from paste area. It might default to this screen, so just look for the tabs and click from paste. So the first one, just go to this document that I'm going to give you. Just paste in the code, hit create pin, and then we're going to do the second one. So again, go to queries again. From this screen, there's a couple changes we have to make. When I give you the copy-paste code, it's not going to know what Shadow Priest you're looking at, so click on this gear icon here, and in the actors, choose and you can see it like added my name here, and hit change pin. And we're gonna do it again for these next two sections. Don't do this gear icon, do the ones in the middle. Change pin. And we're gonna do it a third time. So click on the spells to show them in the chart. So you can see Shadow Fiend is the little orange and Lucid Dreams is the white. So when I hover over these, you can see it says I casted Memory of Lucid Dreams at like 3 minutes 17 seconds, but it's kind of chopped off. The reason why it's doing that is Azshara is a very long fight, so I recommend if you're doing a long boss like this is to zoom in a little bit. To zoom in on charts, we're gonna click and drag and zoom in through like this feature. So just hold your mouse and it'll highlight, and then let go and it'll zoom. And you can see up here we're zooming to 21 seconds through 4 minutes and 16, and it's a little bit easier to look at. So I can hover over this again. Lucid Dreams I used at 29 stacks on this particular void form. And earlier in Shadow Fiend, I used it around 12, and this was that exception to Azshara I was explaining. The reason why I'm doing that is because in Phase 2, they line up again. The next time they come up, like, okay, I got Memory of Lucid Dreams, and I actually got Shadow Fiend in the same void form. This is what made the boss damage like work out really, really well, and this is definitely boss specific. But this makes it really easy to check what you're doing or other Shadow Priests are doing and where the CDs are lining up with their void form, because they might be able to teach you something that you didn't find on your own, or again just to check your own stuff to see if you're doing the right thing. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you watching. I hope it was helpful. I hope I taught you something new. Later!